Hello, I'm very grateful that you're listening to me right now, and I hope you subscribe to my channel as well. So today we're going to see the present subjunctive. What is the present subjunctive? El subjuntivo. So there's different, first of all, we're going to see the grammar, and then after that I'm going to show you the uses. So let's go here. So we have, this is el mundo de las conjugaciones. Imagine this is the world, this is like the planet Earth, right? This is the world of conjugations. So what do they have in common? The indicative, right? The subjunctive and imperative is that they all conjugate each other, okay? So we already saw the indicative because indicates time, that's the function of it. We saw the imperative that gives suggestions, orders, and instructions. And now we're going to see the subjunctive. So the indicative indicates time, right? And the imperative gives suggestions or orders. So the function is not to give time. So the subjunctive, okay, so this part I'm gonna do like a between brackets thing. So most of the books or in Google or wherever, what I notice, and being a teacher and explaining this topic all over again, is that it's very confusing. Like they are saying that is like, the present subjunctive is like for wishes, probabilities, like whatever. It's not that it's wrong, but I feel like it's half explained. It's like not very clear. Why I say this? Because I feel like you can say a wish and also probability with the present tense, like deseo ir a Los Angeles, for example. I wish to go to LA. So you're saying, you're giving a desire, but you use it the present tense. Or even in cases like no creo que, I don't think that, it goes with subjunctive, and then if you put creo que, it goes with indicative. So it's very confusing. So what I notice is this: there's different structures and patterns like these ones that are verbs that trigger the subjunctive in the negation only. So these ones, and I put in yellow the ones that I think are most important. Don't worry, in the link below I always share with you the materials. And then the rest of the verbs are structures that trigger subjunctive, right? Me alegro que, recomiendo que, subjunctive, me enoja que. So all these structures that are considerable, and then expressions, ojalá que tengas un buen fin de semana, etc. They are all structures that trigger the subjunctive. So basically this is what I noticed when we came to a conclusion. It's like actually the subjunctive is structures, it's a rule that, and it's a tense too, that after a certain structures it triggers it and you have to use it. And it happens to be that within those structures you are expressing probabilities, you are expressing desires, you are expressing, okay? So it happens to be that. And then why that part is useful? That part is useful when you start confusing it with indicative and subjunctive. That's when the part is useful. When one is a fact and the other one is a probability, that they are only. The thing that I would recommend the most is just get familiar with these structures, okay? Not in one day, you won't do it in one day, but get familiar to the structures that you use the most, right? And then after that, realize that after those structures, whenever you are speaking, you remember, this goes with subjunctive, and then you'll say. That's what I recommend. So now, being said that, first we're going to see the grammar itself, and then after the grammar, I will tell you first the uses of the present subjunctive, which has some uses, and they are triggered by these structures, okay? So now let's move on to the grammar. So first, please look at this chart and tell me, I am comparing it with the present simple on purpose because it comes from the present simple. So why these arrows or whatever you want to call them comes from the indicative, because all the roots of grammatically based rules come from the indicative, okay? What do I mean that comes? Like, there are certain modifications to make it a subjunctive, but they come from it. That's the root of everything, the grammar. So that's what I'm comparing with the present simple, and that's why it's actually called present subjunctive. So, what can you tell me about these ones? For example, in AR, what can you see that the AR verbs are changing with respect to the present tense? So, everything, it looks like changes to an E, right? In the ending, una E cambia a una E, right? But look at this one, that is ER. So, which person is it coming from? Now, let's focus on the stem. Do you remember I always tell you to focus on the stem and an ending? The stem of it, where does it come from? From the first person of the present indicative, present simple indicative, right? It's obvious en tener because it's yo tengo, and it changes O por A. So can you see that in ER and IR, it changes the ending to an A por una A, and in AR, it changes to an E, okay? So, like I always tell my students, first, let's do, I did some notes for you here. So, for example, there you have AR, trabajar, and you have tener, I put, and decir actually, right? Okay, so you have yo. It comes from the first person, okay? So present grammatica, this is the grammar, present subjunctive, okay? So from the first person, okay, of the present simple it comes, right? So this is, we compare it with the present simple, present tense. Okay, so trabajar is yo trabajo, right? Present tense, yo trabajo. Then tengo and digo, okay? Okay, now, I told you that here it changed the A, changes to a E, then, sorry, the O of the ending changes to E, this O changes to an A, and this O changes to an A when you conjugate it. So, yo, tú, él, ella, usted, sorry, él, ella, usted, nosotros, ellos. Entonces, por ejemplo, trabajar, right? Yo trabajé, that's what it means. You take the root, okay? You take the root from the first person, and then you change it to an E. Trabajes, trabaje, trabajemos, y trabaje. Don't worry, I will send you this, I will add these materials in the link below. So, O to A. In this case, it's teng, right? A. Tenga, tengas, tenga, tengamos, and tengan. Okay, and then in this case, it's dig, right? A. So, diga, sorry, diga, digas, diga, digamos, and diga, and so on. So I would recommend you to practice with other verbs in the present tense. They're more obvious in the ones that changes in yo for the stem, right? And in this case, tener. Okay, let's go now for some irregularities. The rest here, sorry. Yeah. So here is, I explained to you what I just told you. Then, okay. Regla del presente subjuntivo. So let's see the verbs in the present tense that change in O to U. So for example, dormir, pensar, por ejemplo, volver, volver. So this one changes O to U. So I mean, duermo, O to U. This is E to IE, pienso. Sorry, the E to IE, I'm gonna put it in here. And O to U is vuelvo. This is just an example. And then pensar, that changes E to IE, pensar, o por ejemplo, pienso, then I'll think about another one with E to IE. I think I put it in here. Miento, let's say mentir. mentir, miento. Okay, so let's do the same thing. So it comes, okay, so it comes, the stem, right, comes from this one, so it's duerm, okay, and you'll see why this is an irregularity. Inverse Dutch change O to UE and E to IE in the present tense. In present subjunctive, nosotros changes. That's what is called stem changing verbs of the irregular in the subjunctives. Stem changing verbs, irregular subjunctive, present subjunctive. Look, subjuntivo. Okay, so look, so duermo, okay, yo entonces subí duerma, right? Because it changes to a, like we say, duerma, duermas, el duerma, and this is the one that I tell you changed. Dormamos. You see, this one either is different than the rest, changes, or is different. I would say is different. Tivo is different than the rest, but same as the stem of the verb in infinitive. Can you see dorm in this case? Sorry, stem. I'm just doing it right when I. So, dorm, you see, dormamos stays. And then this is duerman. Okay? Por ejemplo, if you want to use it like in a sentence, it's ojalá dormamos bien. I hope we sleep well. It's not duermamos. The same here with volver. So, in this case, vuelva changes to a. Vuelva. Tú vuelvas. Ojalá vuelvas temprano. Él vuelva tarde. Volvamos, you see. Ojalá volvamos otra vez. I hope we return again. Y ellos vuelvan. And then in pensar, you see, so this stays the same like the verb in infinitive, but it's different than the rest. Can you see? And then pensar is to us, so es piense, changes to e, pienses, él piense, ojalá que él piense mejor o piense bien. Nosotros pensemos, there you go. Ojalá pensemos en nuestra salud, whatever. I hope we think about our health. Y ellos piensen, ¿ok? Después mentir es mienta, because it's IR, mientas, mienta, but it's mintamos. Y mientan. You see, this one, what I'm trying to say, and this is irregular, you see, is mintamos, no mientamos. So it stays like it changes. So I would just say the same, it's just different than the rest, I would say. Not necessarily, sometimes it goes with the verb in infinitive. It changes to to I, mintamos. Pensemos, volvamos y dormamos. So, so on these cases we change nosotros. And always try to focus in the most common ones. So for example, in this case, it's like the most common ones is dormir, because ojalá durmamos. Whatever you think you use most often, then use it. So let's come back here. Okay, that's one another irregularity. And the other irregularity is this one, that is completely irregular. Most of the books, and I feel like it's very useful, they call it dishes, okay? Dishes because the completely irregulars, because it's a memory technique, irregulars. Why? Because you see, D, I, S, H, E, S, dishes, because in the irregulars, you're gonna start with those letters. So in this case, you see, it's dar, ir, ser, haber, estar, y saber. So you see, start dar, ir, ser, haber, estar y saber. Okay, can you see? Okay, so dar es de, des, this is by heart a little bit, el de, nosotros demos y ellos den, so yo vaya, tú vayas, sorry, vayas, vaya, vayamos, vayan. You can do it with me while you're listening to the video. Sea, seas, sea, seamos, sean. And then haber is haya, which means there is or there are in English. So what does it mean this? Dar is to give, ir to go, ser to be, a personal trait or characteristics or profession. Then what else? Estar is to be but in a location, estés or a state of mind, mood or health. Estemos y estén. It's in another level, the difference between estar, ser y estar, which I explained in other videos. So hayas, el haya, hayamos, and hayan. Okay, so once you study these completely irregulars, let's go and see the these ones, which is the spelling change. These ones basically is not that they're irregular, but like the verb says, the title says, it says spelling change. It's just because in some cases in Spanish it needs to change the spelling in order to be pronounced correctly, which is different in English. Sometimes it sounds different when it is written, and in this case, no. So in this case, so you see buscar and sincar, all the verbs, does it end? Is in car, right? So whenever you see busco, so you're gonna grab this stem of the first person, busc, and then you're gonna change to an e. But what happens if I just leave it like that? Can you say that you sound like busse? And I need the k sound, buscar. So that's what is busque. Busque, busques, busques. For this one, I guess tocar is important, and sacar means to take out. And tocar, focus on these two right now. And practicar, I guess. And so, yeah, so you had to study that grammar. So in the next video, we're gonna see the uses of this subjunctive. So stay tuned and remember they come from that structure that I mentioned before. Okay, hope to see you in the next video. Bye-bye.